As the other, we can often find ourselves fearful of traveling abroad because we may be ostracized, vilified, put down, or deal with some sort of aggression. I'm visiting Prague for a few days and I'm going to carry out a small experiment. Just what is it like, whilst I'm on my travels, to be the other in Prague? Let's find out. So I'm just sitting in the cafe in Prague, having a bite to eat and a beer and so on. And I thought, I'd just do a quick 30 seconds on my experiences so far. And, I'm here. You can hear the noise in the background of the traffic, so hopefully it's not too noisy. But one of the things I notice wherever I go is, you stand out as the other. People watch you a certain way. I was going to the airport earlier on yesterday. And people are a bit more wary. They stare at you in a strange way because they haven't seen anyone of colour, perhaps, or whatever it might be. So even in a city as diverse and as modern as Prague, that still comes up. Other things I've noticed as well, some of these are just cultural things, and maybe that people are a bit more standoffish because of my own sort of sense of difference. Which is not a bad thing. It's just something one becomes aware of. And I think thinking about it, what happens is, living in a place like London, you actually adapt to an English way of being. You adapt to being the other in Britain. And then when you come somewhere outside of that, France, Germany, Czech Republic in this case, what happens is that adaptation starts to fracture in some way. Or the holes within that adaptation start to show. It's quite interesting thinking about it. Okay, I'm at the Museum for Asian, African and American histories and so on here in central Prague in the Old Town. And I'm really just going to try and build on what I was talking about just briefly yesterday, about this whole idea about as the other, when you actually travel or when you go somewhere else, those sort of scripts that you build up, those ways of being that you've adapted in order to survive the experience of being the other, how they actually start to fracture and break down, or they're challenged by being in a whole new environment. And I think it's actually quite an interesting thing to actually be aware of within oneself, because it can feel, at least initially for some people, quite disruptive or quite unsettling to actually realize that actually who you were, who you are, and how you actually interact with the world has changed. It's been challenged. Those moments have gone. You have to adapt a whole new set of coping mechanisms. It also shows in a way how challenging it actually is to be the other. How challenging it is to be the other and to travel. And there are certain ways that people actually find to make that adaptation stick for them. Tourism. I'm going to talk about this tomorrow just a little bit more, because I think this is where how we place ourselves as tourists in a place where we are the other then becomes quite significant. This is my last day in Prague. I'm just wandering through some of the alleyways here in the Old Town, having a look around. I seem to have stopped right by a sign for the doors. You can see this over my shoulder, hopefully, and a C&D sign right behind me as well. Now, to follow on from what I was saying the past couple of days, it's interesting the role of a tourist, because technically speaking, a tourist is the other when they travel. They are the outsider. They enter into a world which is not of them. It's not theirs. And yet, how does a tourist, especially if they're from the majority, for example, deal with their sense of otherness? Well, one way of doing it, one obvious way of doing it, is actually by just finding the nicest, poshest hotel and separating yourself out from the rest of the country that you're living in. In fact, what you end up doing is making the host country your other, because they're there to serve you, to look after you, to provide you with 5-star entertainment and whatever else. one of the reasons why I've always kind of liked wandering around towns like this, and being the other, and being the other in a space which is not mine, because you find out so much more because you engage with it on a different level. But in order to do that, one has to be able to access, hold, contain one's own sense of fear about other. It's as simple as that, I would argue. Or one part of it is as simple as that. I'm sure it's far more complicated as I do other trips in and around Europe. Well, this is going to be the end of this cast from here in Prague. We'll come back and I'll be back in London over the next couple of weeks. I'll put up some more podcasts then. As always, keep subscribing. Keep letting me know how you're finding my vlogs. Always a pleasure to receive your emails and whatever else. I look forward to seeing you soon. Take good care. Bye-bye.